Good morning. Your Excellency the Governor, Mrs. Jane Owen, Premier, the Honourable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, Deputy Premier, the Honourable Andre Ebanks, Deputy Speaker, now Acting Speaker, the Honourable Heather Bodden, Manderson, Honourable Ministers of Cabinet, Attorney General, the Honourable Samuel Bulgen, Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Roy McTaggart, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Joseph Hugh, fellow elected members of Parliament, senior government officials, former members of Parliament, youth parliamentarians, parents, siblings, teachers, classmates, and invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Before I begin my speech, I have been asked to read a message from His Majesty, the King, for the Commonwealth Day Service of Celebration. I will now read that message. The 75th anniversary of the Commonwealth is a moment to reflect on the remarkable journey that our unique family of free and independent nations has made since 1949. Last year, the Bahamas celebrated its 50th anniversary of independence, as Grenada has this year, and Papua New Guinea will next year. Each of these milestones, and many others like them, represent the fulfillment of countless aspirations and the achievement of such remarkable potential. And as the Commonwealth's growth, with new members continuing to join our family of nations, demonstrates clearly that whilst we may not all have a shared history, we have common ambitions for a better future, working together to build resilience and respond to global challenges. The Commonwealth family is strongest when we are connected through friendship. As I have said before, the Commonwealth is like the wiring of a house, and its people, our energy and ideas, are the current that runs through those wires. Together and individually, we are strengthened by sharing perspectives and experiences, and by offering and borrowing the myriad ways we have each tackled the challenges of our time. This is true both at the level of nations and indeed at the local level. We recognize today that our diversity is our greatest strength. The Commonwealth represents a third of humanity from all regions of the world, with all the different experiences, knowledge, and aspirations that this brings. Wherever we live, we are united by the many challenges we face, whether it be climate change, the loss of nature, or the social and economic changes that new technologies are bringing. Our diversity means that these challenges affect us all differently, and that we experience their impact in different ways. Their seriousness, however, is common to each of us. All of this means that we must work together to understand each other's perspectives, including the inequalities and injustices which still resonate to this day. We must find ways of healing and to support each other to pursue solutions. I cannot say often enough that it is by coming together that we create the best chances to improve our world and the lives of people everywhere. Indeed, over the years, countless people across the Commonwealth have been inspired to form their own Commonwealth associations, from lawyers and accountants to business and trade networks, and many more besides. The work they do is absolutely vital, sharing professional knowledge, experience, and expertise across the continents for the betterment of each one of us. The Commonwealth, above all, retains a particular focus on our young people, who make up 2/3 of the entire Commonwealth population, whether in Kenya or Malaysia, or Dominica, Malta, or Canada, I never cease to be impressed by their creativity, innovative skills, and hard work, often in the most challenging circumstances. Their energy is transforming approaches to development, technology, and preserving and restoring nature, and will, I hope, help to shape and safeguard our common future. Having recently celebrated my own 75th birthday, it warms my heart to reflect on the way the Commonwealth has been a constant throughout my own life, a precious source of strength, inspiration, and pride. In recent weeks, I have been most deeply touched by your wonderful and kind, thoughtful good wishes for my health, and in return, can only continue to serve you to the best of my ability throughout the Commonwealth. My belief in our shared endeavors and in the potential of our people remains as sure and strong as it has ever been. I have no doubt that we will continue to support one another across the Commonwealth as together we continue this vital journey. And that ends the message from His Majesty the King. As the chairperson of the Youth Parliament Organizing Committee, it is indeed my privilege and honor to extend a warm, Caymanian kind welcome to all who are present with us this morning for this 17th annual Youth Parliament debate. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the modern Commonwealth, of which Cayman is a vibrant and valued member. As is customary, we hold the Youth Parliament debate on Commonwealth Day, a day celebrated by 56 countries around the world. This year's theme for Commonwealth Day is One Resilient Common Future, Transforming Our Commonwealth. The government and the opposition have developed two private members' motions over the last several weeks on the topics of immigration and a national development plan. The Commonwealth Day theme is a fitting challenge for our future leaders as they consider what it means for their country to remain both resilient and united for the future generations to come. We have 24 students with us this year with an age range of 14 to 19 years old. They have joined us from 10 schools across Cayman, including 2 students from Cayman Brac, who we are so happy to have with us in person today. We mark an incredible 17 years of this vital program. It is not an understatement to say that in the last few weeks, there have been a whirlwind for participants and the staff. The youth parliamentarians have come to the Parliament twice a week, including Saturdays, to develop their arguments, research existing legislation, and fine-tune their understanding of parliamentary procedure. These youth parliamentarians have undertaken immense training over the last 5 months. They have learned skills that will carry them far beyond the procedures of this House. Confidence, critical thinking, effective speaking, leadership, teamwork, researching, understanding legislation and regulations. These are all invaluable skills that will be carried with these bright young people for the rest of their careers, no matter which path they choose. As the chairperson of the organizing committee, I wish to recognize the exceptional hard work and dedication of the youth parliamentarians for their enthusiasm and commitment to this program. My fellow members of the Youth Parliament Organizing Committee, with particular appreciation to Honourable Kenneth Bryan for meeting with the students on weekends and Tuesdays over the last several weeks. The Honourable Minister Johanny Ebanks and his team for speaking to the youth parliamentarians on the motion for a national development plan. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition and Deputy Leader of the Opposition for their support of the opposition members. The Honourable Deputy Governor and Ms. Reshma Sharma from the Portfolio of Legal Affairs for their presentation to the youth on the Constitution and the role of the Deputy Governor. The Honourable Attorney General for meeting with the youth parliamentarians, particularly the YP Attorney General, Ms. Lorelei Bryan, and offering her direction on the Attorney General's role within Parliament. Mrs. Gina Petrie, Director of the Department of Environment, for providing the Youth Parliamentarians with feedback on the National Development Plan. The Clerk of Parliament, Mrs. Zena Marion-Chin, for her extraordinary dedication and expertise on parliamentary procedure and protocol. The Assistant Clerks, Mrs. Patricia Priestley and Ms. Nordra Walcott. Ms. Nordra is currently at the 72nd Westminster Seminar in London today. That's why she isn't here. But special thanks to them for coordinating the program and supporting the students each week. Mr. Kim Evans, the Sergeant of Arms, and Mr. Christopher Clark, Parliamentary Page, for educating the youth parliamentarians on the importance of procedures of House. All of the guest speakers over the last 5 months who have shared their knowledge with our youth parliamentarians, including Mr. Vaughn Carter, Chair of the Constitutional Commission, and Mr. Eric Nicholson and Mr. Prashad of the Toastmasters Club Grand Cayman. The Ministry of Tourism for supporting the travel expenses to the students from the Cayman Brac, Harney's Law Firm for their invaluable support through sponsoring this vital program. Their support cannot be overstated. Parliament's communications team, the government's Department of Communications, and Radio Cayman for broadcasting today's proceedings. On behalf of the Cayman Islands branch of Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, thank you for joining us today, and congratulations to the 24 youth parliamentarians for sharing your voice. I hope that other youth across the Cayman Islands are inspired today by your debates, and that their interest in taking a leadership role in their community is sparked into a burning passion to serve Caymanians and to lead for future generations to come. And I hope that that indeed speaks to some of you sitting in these green chairs today. Please join me in wishing our youth parliamentarians the very best for their debates today as we hear their diverse opinions and viewpoints on the two topics they have chosen. Thank you.
Good morning. With protocol having been duly established, I'm honored to welcome you to the 17th Youth Parliament held in conjunction with the global celebration of Commonwealth Day. It is also my pleasure to extend a particularly warm welcome to our youth parliamentarians and their family, friends, teachers, mentors, and supporters who have joined them here today. I must regrettably extend apologies from the Speaker, Honourable Sir Alden McLaughlin, as he is in London for the 75th anniversary of the Commonwealth of Nations and the Commonwealth Day Summit, where he will be meeting with the Speaker of the UK House of Commons, the Right Honourable Sir Lindsay Hoyle MP, as well as the speakers and presiding officers of other Commonwealth nations, overseas territories, and Crown dependencies. Honourable McLaughlin is the President of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, CPA, Cayman Islands branch, and is attending that milestone event on behalf of the Cayman Islands branch. I have no doubt that you will join me in wishing him well during those deliberations. With that said, it is with a profound sense of pride and anticipation that we convene this esteemed gathering of young minds within this hallowed chamber. The theme for this year's Common Day observance is One Resilient Common Future, Transforming Our Commonwealth, which speaks to the tapestry of cultures and histories that bind us together as a global community, and the desire to harness our collective strengths to build a more resilient and inclusive future for all. Expounding upon that theme, it is evident that the transformation of the Commonwealth lies not only within our shared history and aspirations, but in our ability to successfully motivate, educate, and empower our people. Therefore, as we strive to create a more resilient and inclusive future, it is imperative that we recognize and embrace the pivotal role that young people play in shaping our common destiny. It is often said that young people are the future, and while that is indeed correct, I feel obliged to add that young people are also the present. As parliamentarians and policymakers, we must always be willing to harness the energy, imagination, and views of our young people on issues that are important to them. And we must consistently be willing to do more to engage them in the process of parliamentary democracy. When we think of democracy, what invariably comes to mind is the process of voting. But true democracy encompasses so much more than that. It is about cultivating a society that hears every voice, considers every view, and counts every hand. It is about ensuring that the communities and individuals who call the Cayman Islands home have a voice within these parliamentary halls and an opportunity to be heard. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from the youth of this country on two critical private members' motions, focusing on immigration and border control, and an updated national development plan for the Cayman Islands. These are complex and multifaceted issues of paramount importance that hold immense significance for our nation's prosperity and well-being. And so, as we look forward to hearing the perspectives of these young parliamentarians, I would like to take a few moments to address them directly. My young colleagues, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association designed this youth parliament in order to demonstrate to young people like yourselves the principles of parliamentary democracy through active participation in parliamentary life. These sittings are aimed at encouraging youth to engage in the democracy process and to counter the often cynical outlook that leads some of your peers to withdraw from civic activities or to lose faith in the value of dialogue and the process of governance. The Youth Parliament is one way of demonstrating that the voices of young people belong in this Parliament. Though my colleagues and I have been entrusted with the task of guiding you through the intricacies of parliamentary procedure, this is very much a youth-led initiative. Your presence here is very much a commitment to civic engagement and your readiness to contribute meaningfully to the democratic process. You are not merely participants in a simulation exercise. You are the future leaders of our nation. Your voices, ideas, and perceptions hold immense value in shaping the direction of our nation, both now and in the future. The topics you've chosen to debate are reflective of issues that impact quality of life and are worthy of collective attention. Throughout your deliberations, you will have the opportunity to delve into the complexities of each subject area, exploring their diverse perspectives and propose innovative solutions. As you engage in your debates, I encourage you to approach your discussions in a spirit of collaboration. Listen attentively to the viewpoints of your fellow parliamentarians, especially when they differ from your own. Remember, too, that the true measure of your success lies not in the eloquence of your arguments, but in your capacity to forge consensus and identify the ways forward. We have witnessed many important and sometimes life-changing debates here in this chamber, and I congratulate each and every one of you for taking this opportunity to make your own contribution to these two important motions, underscoring your personal commitment to making our beloved Cayman Islands a better place. As youth parliamentarians, I ask you to rest assured that your voices matter. You matter. You matter. Your ideas, your perspectives, and your insights matter. And you have the power to shape policies, to influence decisions, and to inspire positive change. My sincere hope is that this experience gained from participating in this youth parliament will serve as a positive step on your journey to being not just a part of the democratic process, but a voice that represents the hopes and dreams of our generation. The future of our nation will one day rest in your capable hands, and I have every confidence that you will rise to the occasion with grace, dignity, and unwavering resolve. And I urge you, therefore, to be bold and courageous agents of positive change. In closing, I wish to thank you all again for participating, because this day is about you. This is your Youth Parliament program. I hope that you have the most stimulating and rewarding experience. I trust that your deliberations will be fruitful, your debates enlightening, and your decisions guided by wisdom and compassion. But above all, I hope that you are as proud of yourselves as we are of you. With these few words, I wish you all the very best of luck in your debates, and God bless.
Perfect view. Good morning, youth parliamentarians, and good morning to the wider audience who are here witnessing and supporting you this morning in these endeavors. You know, I always find this annual event and its lively debates invigorating and fun. Yes, I said fun. But what truly fills me with joy is witnessing how much you've all learned and about parliamentary procedures in such a short time, and more importantly, how much you're enjoying it. Even though some of your peers might find it dull and think you're a little crazy for doing it, I want to tell you this morning, I am downright proud of every one of you. And I know that your families here feel the same way. Only need to look around at the gallery above you, and you see this place is just about, every seat is just about full. And I can tell you honestly, there are not many days when we have a situation like this, where the gallery is actually full. So it's a testament and indication of just how interested and how much your families are supporting you here today. As I look around and look at your faces and hear your names, it is clear that you represent the vibrant diversity of our islands. In many ways, yours are the faces of Cayman's future. So it's only fitting that we come together today, not only to discuss the motions you're about to debate, but also to reflect on this year's Commonwealth Day theme. One resilience, common future, transforming our Commonwealth. Let's explore this theme for just a minute. One resilience, common future is something I think we all can understand. But what about transforming our Commonwealth? Commonwealth is actually written as two separate words. Commonwealth. It's a phrase that's worth considering, for it reminds us that we all share this world's natural wealth and therefore have a shared duty to protect it. The Commonwealth Parliamentary Association supports these debates and emphasizes the importance of resilience, unlocking our potential, and fostering connections in our ever-changing world. Resilience is undoubtedly deeply rooted in our island spirit. We have a fantastic history of boat building, seafaring, entrepreneurship, inventiveness, and hard work, together with a wealthy, proud culture. 200 years ago, when our overseas administering parliament was ignoring us and our islands, our forefathers took matters into their own hands. They hosted our first elections and established our first parliament at Pedro St. James to pass laws and enforce justice back in the early 1800s. Throughout our history, we faced challenges with courage, emerging stronger and more united. As young leaders, you must continue to embody this resilience, adapting to challenges and seizing opportunities for growth that the future will bring and that will come your way. Technology is changing rapidly and brings much good, but also wide-scale changes that we will need and must adapt to. As Commonwealth members, we must also strive to unlock the immense potential within our Commonwealth family. However, let's now turn our focus closer to home and concentrate on our sphere of influence. Unlocking our potential necessitates a continued investment in education, innovation, and sustainable development. These are crucial to developing and preparing young people to be tomorrow's protectors of our economy, heritage and culture, and our environment. We must equip our youth to become the leaders and change makers of tomorrow. This is, after all, what the Youth Parliament is all about. Youth parliamentarians, you must seize these opportunities with both hands, just as you have embraced the opportunity to be here today. A significant aspect of our success lies in leveraging that resilience that defines our country. We can draw from the Caymanian spirit of exploration, entrepreneurship, and hard work alongside our rich cultural heritage. And let's remember the collective strength and shared values that unite us as a diverse global community. Despite your differences, you've all come together here today and successfully helped one another over months of preparation to debate two very relevant and exciting motions. That is an example worth noting. And to be honest, when you think of the motions that you have, they are relevant to this Parliament. Very relevant. We're grappling with those issues right now. So I am truly excited to hear what you all have to say about them, because I'm sure it will help to influence our own focus in terms of dealing with these issues. We can tackle our shared challenges through collaboration and cooperation, amplify our impact, and create a safer and more prosperous future for everyone. I believe the topics that you'll debate today, immigration and border reform, and an updated national development plan for the Cayman Islands, are directly relevant to our theme this year. Immigration and border reform are intertwined with our modern society, which benefits from a diverse workforce, yet grapples with growth challenges. An updated national development plan is crucial for a sustainable future for the Cayman Islands. It is also critical to solving a range of challenges, including housing, public transport, infrastructure, and environmental protection. I'm excited to hear your thoughts today, and I wish you all much success and all the very best. Most importantly, remember, let's have a little fun along the way. Let's enjoy the day and make the most of it.
Good morning, all. Protocol already have been duly established. My job is quite an easy one this morning. I'm to officially declare the 17th Youth Parliament open. But before doing that, please permit me to say just a few words. My colleagues did a splendid job in lecturing, advising, speaking to, remarking. So I will refrain from that. But I just wanted to say that this provides a wonderful opportunity for all and sundry to embrace the challenges and find adequate and relevant, accessible and affordable solutions. it also provides an exciting opportunity to embrace knowledge and education and find ways and conduits and instruments to duly so execute. And then it provides an opportunity for you to embrace belief in yourselves, no one else but yourselves, that your voice may rise in this honorable chamber and beyond these granite walls, so that not only my colleagues in both in government and the opposition can grasp them and embrace them and hopefully also implement them through motions brought to the House or through private members' bills or through government bills or through questions just to whet the appetite, but embrace this opportunity. My colleague who today excites me, as you probably can tell, we're just coming off of Women's Day on Friday, and today, through by divine intervention or otherwise, we have still a female governor who is present we wish to acknowledge and for all that she does in the jurisdiction. You have a female premier, we have a female acting speaker, and we have a female chairman. And as I quickly peruse the landscape of the representatives here that we're anxiously awaiting to hear your deliberations, I see that we're outnumbered with the females. So it would also be remiss of me if I did not put a little bit of logic in this. Way back when I studied logic, if A equals C and B equals C, then A also equals C. You can talk about on your break. But I said that to say this, is that if you have females who have proven themselves for decades now in various legal positions within this country, and we see that trend from our studies. I see my female acting chief officer also here. And when we look at the statistics, girls, for some reason, outstrip, and I say that carefully because my DP is a male, the males, and the males for some reason later on catch up. So we see that represented here today. And then when we get 18, nothing really changes. Most of our scholarships go to female persons. But when we go to the elections, we find that females are voting for males. If A equals C and B equals C, then make sure that what we see here today happens before I lay my head to rest. That on the opposition, I love it, is 7-1. Female colleagues, we appreciate you and we take great pleasure in collaborating with you. But I'm looking forward because there's a new vitality that comes when young parliamentarians come and they are not appointed, they're not elected, they're not paid, they're not remotely controlled, they just have their teachers and their parents. That gives that sense of nervousness that I've sensed here, but yet eluding that confidence that I know that they're going to portray. So it is my absolute, absolute delight to declare this 17th Youth Parliament open. God bless you and God continue to bless our wonderful Cayman Islands.
This Honourable 17th Youth Parliament is now in session. This Honourable 17th Youth Parliament is now in session. I will ask the Honourable Premier to say prayers.
Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power are derived, we beseech Thee so to direct and prosper the deliberations of the Parliament now assembled, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundations for the glory of Thy name and for the safety, honour, and welfare of the people of these islands. Bless our Sovereign, King Charles III, William, Prince of Wales, and all of the royal family. Give grace to all who exercise authority in our Commonwealth, that peace and happiness Truth and justice, religion and piety may be established among us. Especially we pray for the Governor of our islands, the Premier, the Speaker of the Parliament, the Leader of the Opposition, Ministers of the Cabinet, ex-officio members, members of the Parliament, the Chief Justice, and members of the Judiciary, that we may be enabled faithfully to perform the responsible duties of our high office. All this we ask for thy great name's sake. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, ever. Amen. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon us and give us peace, now and always. Amen.
Please be seated.
Reading of messages and announcements by the Speaker.
Fellow Youth Parliamentarians, Her Excellency the Governor, Mrs. Jane Owen, honorable members of Parliament, parents, teachers, students, and invited guests, good morning and welcome to the 17th Annual Youth Parliament Debate. Today I stand before you proudly as the Speaker of this Honorable Youth Parliament, and we must thank God for his mercies. The theme being celebrated by the 56 member states of the Commonwealth is One Resilient Common Future, Transforming Our Commonwealth. The Commonwealth Secretary General, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland Casey, characterizes the theme as highlighting our collective resilience, which empowers us to address and surmount current challenges together. The theme is said to highlight how member states, quote, must harness their strengths by building resilience, unlocking potential, leveraging the Commonwealth advantage, and fostering a connected digital Commonwealth, end quote. Today, our youth parliamentarians are debating two motions that relate directly to the 2024 theme. The government's motion, a very topical issue, immigration and border reform, highlights the need for collective action to address the challenges and complexities surrounding immigration policies and border security. The opposition's motion, an updated national development plan for the Cayman Islands, seeks to update the shockingly 27-year-old outdated development plan. The Honourable Premier, Janelle Cahoon, said, the main aim of the motion proposed by the government is to safeguard the longevity of our Caymanian population and foster safety and security of the economic, social, and political well-being of the Cayman Islands. If passed, the government aims to revise the permanent residency application process and amend relevant immigration acts to give effect to the revision, and implement and maintain a comprehensive immigration screening process for greater security and safety of the economic, social, and political well-being of the Cayman Islands. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Keir Bodden, said, we chose this motion because the government did not have a plan for the Cayman Islands for the next 10 to 15 years. A national development plan was well overdue. If passed, the opposition hopes to have adequate foresight for the increasing population and continuous development, as well as the retention and expansion of local and international businesses to increase GDP. Maya Angelou once said, in diversity, there is beauty and there is strength. This quote emphasizes the value of diversity and unity, which are essential elements in building resilience and transforming our Commonwealth. It suggests that by embracing our differences and coming together as one, we can create a stronger and more resilient future for all. In closing, my fellow youth parliamentarians have spent months preparing for this debate to present well-thought-out arguments on these two motions. As a second-time youth parliamentarian, I know the dedication and hard work it takes to get this far. I implore our government leaders and the people of the Cayman Islands to listen carefully to our future leaders. These speeches are not just facts and opinions, but the ability but the ability of our youth to transform our Commonwealth through resilient actions. Thank you.
Other business. Private members' motions. Private members' motion number 1 of 2024, immigration and border reform, to be moved by the elected member for Cayman East.
I recognize the elected member for Cayman East.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move private members' motion number 1 of 2024, immigration and border reform, which reads as follows. Whereas the livelihood of the Caymanian population is being hampered by the influx of other nationalities, and whereas, according to data from the Cayman Islands Labor Force Survey report, Spring 2023, Caymanians are statistically outnumbered in their own country, where expatriates make up 53.5% of the total population. Meanwhile, Caymanians account for 46.5%. And whereas the acquisition of permanent residency and consequently Caymanian status by non-Caymanians is too liberal. And whereas the implementation of more stringent status and permanent residency criteria may decrease the impact of socioeconomic factors that plague the Cayman Islands. Be it therefore resolved that this Honorable Youth Parliament considers revising the permanent residency application process and amending the relevant immigration acts and regulations to give effect to the revision. Be it therefore further resolved that this Honorable Youth Parliament considers the implementation and maintenance of a comprehensive immigration screening process that encourages greater security and safety of the economic, social, and political well-being of the Cayman Islands.
Private members' motion number 1 of 2024 has been duly moved. Is there a seconder to the motion? I recognize the elected member for West Bay Central.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second private members' motion number 1 of 2024.
The motion has been duly passed and duly moved and seconded. Does the mover wish to speak thereto? I recognize the Honorable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I move a motion to suspend Standing Order 32-4.
The question is that Standing Order 32-4 be suspended. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. Standing Order 32-4 has been suspended. I recognize the elected member for Cayman East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I felt compelled to bring this motion as it truly poses an issue today in our beloved Cayman Islands. Let's not beat around the bush. We are not discussing temporary work permits here. We're talking about permanent residency and Caymanian status. We've got a feast of benefits to offer: education, safety, healthcare, housing, the whole shebang. But here's the catch. Too many mouths at the table means smaller slices for everyone. It's like trying to enjoy a glass of swanky with too much water. Where's the taste? Where's the flavor? Let's not dilute the essence of our home. However, Mr. Speaker, the truth is, our nation is supported by the sweat, tears, and yes, the hard-earned dollars of expatriates who bring their talents to our shores. Let's not confuse the issue at hand. We are not trying to play the role of the bouncer at the Cayman nightclub, setting a limit of the number of people allowed in. No. We are talking management, my friends. We are talking about quality over quantity. The backbone of our thriving economy is the hardworking expatriates who grace our islands, making significant contributions that elevate our nation. Let me make something crystal clear. We are not here to slap a cap on the number of folks coming to work in our paradise. No, sir. We are not playing gatekeeper. We are setting standards. raising the bar and ensuring that the ones who stay here are for the long haul, not just a fleeting visit. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, we're Harvard, and we are not just accepting anyone. We are setting the bar high, maintaining the exclusivity that breeds brilliance. Because when we tighten the protocols, we are not just welcoming expats. We are welcoming the creme de la creme, the ones who will add that extra layer to our cultural mosaic. Now, let's get real about those points. The golden ticket to permanent residency. Mr. Speaker, 30 points for investing in local property or businesses? That's like getting a gold star for showing up? We are not handing out participation trophies here. We are building a nation. It's time to shake things up. Let's charge inactive landowners, make it mandatory in every real estate contract. Oh, and let's not forget to trim down those points for local investments. We're not handing out free passes to Caymanian paradise. Education, training, and experience, 25 points. History and culture test, a mere 20 points. Now, Mr. Speaker, isn't that a slap in the face of knowledge and cultural understanding? We are prioritizing deep pockets over deep minds. It's time to flip the script, to value intelligence over opulence. Our revisions should reflect the essence of our nation, not the size of a bank account. Mr. Speaker, simply put, we are catering to the wealthy instead of the well-informed. The considerations for permanent residency must be revised in order to ensure that a balanced judgment is given in regards to an expatriate wishing to reap the benefits of being a Caymanian. Mr. Speaker, that is why the passage of this motion is a necessity. We are looking out for our Caymanian population. That is the Parliament's duty, which includes that of the opposition. This is what we were elected to do. Dear members of this honorable Youth Parliament, we are not just proposing change, we are demanding it. Let's tear down the exploitability of our current system and build a fortress that safeguards the interests of our people. It's not a political game. It's the future of the Cayman Islands hanging in the balance. In conclusion, due to the exploitability of the point system and permanent residency application process, this Honorable Youth Parliament should revise the immigration policies and implement new measures that are comprehensive. In terms of resolution, a proposal is to alter the point system, as it can be easily taken advantage of. My fellow members of government will delve deeper into solutions. The opposition is more than welcome to work with us on this. The people here today are not in this house for no reason. We are here to fix these problems. We should not and will not apologize for wanting the best for our country. This is a topic that should not be strictly political. The passage or failure of this motion will predict the future of the Cayman Islands and her people. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other? I recognize the Honorable Minister of Border Control, Labor and Culture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am a Caymanian, and with that comes a lot. It means that I am part of an aging population that is in need of a strong economy. It means that my way of life is something that has changed a lot in the recent decades. And it means that the concept of being able to say, I am Caymanian, has been a topic of frequent discussion by those around me. As the Minister for Border Control, Labor, Immigration and Culture, and more importantly, as a Caymanian, I have a responsibility to my people and to this nation. This private member's motion is one that I have taken on in stride and plan to execute in addition to the expertise that myself and fellow members of Cabinet can provide. We are not just talking about a debate point here, we are talking about the future of this country and our people. Mr. Speaker, being Caymanian means that dealing with the reality of an aging population is something that we must face. As a parliament, we must take action. We must adapt to the times rather than shutting out the possibility of change. We cannot close ourselves off. With the passing of this motion, Cayman will see a more refined immigration process. This will be present in the implementation of a comprehensive screening process for the islands, which manages who will come to work for this country, as well as a change in how we will decide who will gain Cayman status and PR. We want to be able to change who can say, I am Caymanian. This screening process will include stricter qualifications for PR status and disqualifications for those applying, which could include but not be limited to sex offenders, those convicted of DUI, and individuals with a history of finance-related crimes, something that I'm sure this island has a lot to take into consideration. As a country, we must think carefully about who and what we allow to enter our borders, which is why the Ministry of Border Control will be taking on this private member's motion and ensuring decisions are taken to strengthen our borders and to protect our people from threats of contraband that have no place in Cayman. Because, Mr. Speaker, my grandfather always told me, if you're not here, you're going to feel. And unfortunately, this country felt a tragedy of gun violence in Ed Bush. Well, Mr. Speaker, this time the message is loud and clear. Cayman must protect our borders. And I'll be damned if I let the opposition feel rather than hear this time. Now, Mr. Speaker, we also want to address the current PR status application. As the mover of the motion has mentioned, it's too liberal for those in wealth. You can get over half of the points qualified simply by investing or holding large sums of money in the country. Did you know that the PR status application even takes into account your annual salary? Something as little as how much you make a year can influence greatly, more than other parts of the PR application status, whether or not you get to claim that you're a Caymanian. That is not the type of application that we wish to see. As a result of this, we wish to change the process, so less weight is levied to sections regarding wealth that is not related to their ability to support themselves or their dependents, and more focus on social cohesion and integration. And one thing that I will make sure as the Minister of Culture, along with the Minister of Heritage, is that that test on Caymanian history is made mandatory to pass rather than a measly 20 points. To ensure that the Caymanian identity is preserved by those wishing to gain PR and Caymanian status, I've discussed with the Honourable Minister of Heritage the implementation of a cultural literacy and integration program that will be adopted with the PR process. Given that this motion passes, this will be for the purpose of preparing individuals to know what it truly means to say, I am Caymanian. Though there may be a push to liberalize the Caymanian status process in light of recent statistics that have been pointed out by our motion, simply labeling more people as Caymanians will not solve our issue. It would be the same as seeing an issue with the crime rate and saying we must legalize more of these crimes being committed. This will not solve our problem, Mr. Speaker. We must give meaning to the phrase, I am Caymanian. Economic protectionism is a method of going about the economy in which we will protect ourselves from foreign companies that have already had a chance to establish themselves in other places around the world and exist in other places around the world to ensure that the Caymanian economy stays strong. This same approach can be taken with our people, our culture, and identity by protecting it where it does not exist elsewhere. If I could ask for extra time.
30 seconds.
Mr. Speaker, I stand before you today to ask for the passing of this motion, and I stand before the House of Parliament today to ask for the passing of this motion, because we as a country must take charge and protect our borders. We as a country must make sure that we are sure of who can be Caymanian. We must be sure of who comes into this country, not just because I'm the Minister of Border Control that I am very invested in this, not just because I'm invested in the dealings of this country, but because I am Caymanian. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the elected member for West Bay, Georgetown South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to address the government motion on immigration and border reform. This motion is clearly a confused, vague attempt to solve problems that are significantly removed from immigration. The government motion states that the livelihood of the Cayman population is being hampered by the influx of other nationalities. But what is this livelihood referring to? Arguably, the economic livelihood of Caymanians is improved by immigration. The positive economic impact of immigration for advanced economies has been demonstrated over and over again empirically. A study from the International Monetary Fund showed that immigration improves growth and productivity in the long and medium term. This is because native and immigrant workers bring a diverse set of skills to the labor market that complement each other. When we look specifically at our islands,
I recognize the Honourable Mr. Board Control.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Relevance. The mover of our motion has already stated many of these things. I would like to ask the member to get on with their speech.
Elected member, please continue with your speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When we look specifically at our island, Cayman has shown it has a growing dynamic economy. For example, last year saw a real GDP growth rate of 4%, which is above many other developed economies. Cayman greatly benefits from the influx of skilled labor it receives. In 2023, the labor force of the Cayman Islands grew by 7.9%, and much of this was due to the addition of 4,939 non-Caymanian workers. The Cayman Islands Semi-Annual Economic Report for 2023 states that the reason for the increasing labor force is increased labor demand due to economic recovery after COVID. International demand for many of Cayman's services remains strong and is likely to increase in the future. Many of the immigrants this government wishes to restrict are crucial if we wish to enjoy continued economic growth in the future. Continued economic growth will benefit the livelihood of Caymanians by providing them with increased job opportunities, higher wages, and higher quality and variety of goods and services. Under the government's approach of decreasing quantity, some of the quality of the labor we enjoy will be lost.
I recognize Mr. Board Control.
Point of order, misleading the House. The mover of the motion specifically mentioned that the government does not wish to decrease quantity. I would like to ask the member to retract their statement.
Please retract your statement, elected member.
I retract my statement.
May continue.
When it is more closely examined, it should be obvious. We need many of the immigrants this country receives in order to fill key labor shortages, as our small island population is insufficient for the economic scale we are reaching toward. Furthermore, many of the problems we believe are caused by an influx of immigrants have alternative solutions. For example, some may view traffic congestion as a product of flawed immigration policy, allowing too many people onto island. However, these issues have far clearer solutions, such as improving transport infrastructure or investing in public transport. This would allow us to reduce the number of vehicles on specific roads in high traffic areas, allowing us to keep the short commute times we enjoy, but with an increased population. Another example of this is the overcrowding in housing and public places, often attributed to immigration. But we could fix this by improving zoning, which would be a more tenable long-term solution. We could do this by identifying opportunities in existing areas to increase residential density, opening up new areas to residential development, and minimizing design approval processes. If we were to implement these solutions, it would allow us to accommodate a larger population while maintaining our high standards of living and economic growth. Is there anyone that would prefer to give up these standards of living through increasing the strictness of our border control system? Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue to blame all of our issues on immigration. For example, the gun violence previously mentioned cannot be solely attributed.
I recognize the member for Cayman Brock East.
Point of order relevance. I have already stated the benefits that expats bring to the country, and like my honorable minister has mentioned, we are not talking necessarily about decreasing the quantity. We are not blaming the expats for problems in our country.
Honorable elected member, please continue your speech.
It is time we take responsibility for our island's problems and embrace immigrants to work to a solution together. Overall, I hope I have provided this Parliament with alternative solutions and reasons we should reject this motion. The government has clearly failed to consider the true economic value of immigrants and the specifics involved in their zoning process or alternative solutions. While I acknowledge there are, of course, some issues present in our immigration system, this is not the solution we should gather behind, as implementing these proposals has a far greater potential to be harmful to Caymanians and immigrants alike by impacting their economic livelihood. As a member of the opposition, I stress that the opposition cannot support these misguided proposals, and we will not be voting to implement this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to speak on private member's motion number 1 of 2024, Immigration and Border Reform. As a government, we acknowledge the inherent value and importance of immigration. Throughout history, immigrants have enriched our societies with their diverse cultures, ideas, and talents. They have contributed to the fabric of our communities, helping us thrive and evolve. I rise here, Mr. Speaker, not to put a damper on the fiesta of diversity that is immigration. We love the mixtape of cultures, ideas, and talents that immigrants bring. But, Mr. Speaker, and there is always a but, despite these benefits of immigration, the need for proper maintenance and regulation of our borders is paramount for our island's protection. Mr. Speaker, through the implementation of this motion, we will ensure that we preserve our people's livelihood and that the Cayman Islands progressively moves towards a more secure society. Britannica Dictionary defines immigration as a process through which individuals become permanent residents or citizens of another country. Mr. Speaker, as a member of the opposition has expressed, it is in contrary to what they have expressed actually. We do not plan to limit the number of persons entering our borders and staying, nor do we intend to send people away. In other words, we are not throwing people off the Cayman Islands like it's a reality TV show. Last time I checked, Cayman is not the set of Survivor. Mr. Speaker, the intention of this motion is simply to tighten our borders, strengthen our society, and ensure that those who are entering bring something good to the table. In the second whereas, we have a little fact check and reality check. According to the Cayman Islands Labour Force Survey report, Cayman Islands are becoming an endangered species in their own habitat. Expats have outnumbered us like it's a game of musical chairs, and we are left standing alone. Mr. Speaker, through the implementation of stricter regulation, we can assure that though the percentage of Caymanians in comparison to expats may be small, and though it may not increase in the foreseeable future, we will ensure that the Caymanian population will remain the Caymanian population. Mr. Speaker, there should be no stigma around the fact that we want to tighten our borders, because at the end of the day, it is our responsibility as a government to ensure that our Caymanian population is maintained and safeguarded. We are not about exclusion. We are about quality control. As a premier of these islands, it is my responsibility to ensure that our people are safe, secure, and comfortable. With this motion, we will guarantee that those who gain the right to be Caymanian, that those who have the right to vote in our elections, that those who have the right to make public opinions align with our morals, with our ethics, and with our standpoints. Furthermore, as the mover of the motion has stated, we need to ensure that our swanky, Mr. Speaker, does not become a kiddie pool. We need to ensure that we can still taste the Sybil oranges in our swanky. And the fact remains that if we let those outside of our population influence us too highly, we will end up with a Cayman that has lost its Caymanians. So dear opposition, if you do not see the vision behind this motion, you might need a prescription for those vision problems. Maybe some Apple Vision Pros will help you get a glimpse of reality. Don't worry, all expenses on the government. In continuation, alongside the factor of immigration screening process mentioned by the mover of the motion, we plan to institute biometric systems in cooperation with larger jurisdictions like the US, the UK, and Canada. These biometric systems will be extensive and collect fingerprints, eye data, as well as facial recognition. With these data, authorities will not be playing hide and seek, Mr. Speaker. We'll be playing hide and keep them out. Mr. Speaker, let's cut to the chase. Immigration has built our nation, and it is time for a makeover. This motion is simply not about being anti-expatriate. It is pro-Caymanian. It is our responsibility as a government, as an opposition, and as a parliament that we cater for the people of our islands and maintain a safe and sustainable Cayman Islands. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, immigration and migration has been the foundation for the development of our nation for many generations.
Honourable member, your time is up.
May I have a few seconds, Mr. Speaker?
15 seconds, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For many, let me repeat myself. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, immigration and migration has been the foundation for the development of our nation for many generations. Right now, there should be no contemplation, but instead the implementation of this immigration and border reform motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the elected member for West Bay Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, well, well. Mr. Speaker, brace yourself for a reality check in the Cayman Islands. Imagine a place where our culture is on the verge of being a museum exhibit, where a Caymanian feels like a rare species, and our land is like the last piece of a covered real estate in the game of Monopoly. As the years crawl by, our sweet, sweet beloved Cayman Islands, a once unique haven of culture, is now feeling the squeeze of newcomers flooding in like they just discovered the new hottest vacation spot. Sure, diversity is great, but Mr. Speaker, let's be real. It's also a double-edged sword jabbing at the heart of our native Caymanian livelihood. And I can't afford heart surgery with this cost of living. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but immigration and border reform are like navigating a minefield in stilettos. It's tricky, it's treacherous, and if we're not careful, we'll end up with a cultural identity crisis faster than you can say, "Not today, Bobo." Now, Mr. Speaker, let's talk about these thoughtful considerations and careful policy making, because we're not sipping tea, we're sipping swank, and we need new policies that actually address the issues right here on our beloved islands. Listen up, folks. The Cayman Islands are supposed to be a haven, a place where the warm sea breeze whispers the tales of our history. But guess what? Caymanians are becoming a rare breed in our own backyard. Soon enough, the Caymanians will just become a gimme story. Mr. Speaker, let's get one thing straight. We're not trying to build a fortress around our precious islands. No, no, no. We just want to put up a few signposts that say, Hey, let's make sure everyone is taken care of and our country doesn't turn into a chaotic circus without a ringmaster. So here's the scoop, Mr. Speaker. It's time we dust off those immigration laws and acts, maybe even give them a makeover. They want permanent residency? Let's make sure it's not handed out like beads at Barabanu. We want to make sure our health care, safety, and all that jazz are top notch. Not just for anyone who strolls in, but especially for our own people. Honorable Youth Parliament, get ready to roll up your sleeves, because we need policies that are tougher than Cayman's iron shores. We're talking criteria for permanent residency that's more exclusive than Sir Turtle Club, job market priority for Caymanians, and a revamp of immigration laws and acts that actually make sense in the real world that us, the government, is clearly living in. Consistency is the name of the game, people. If we're saying we're doing something, let's actually do it. It's about time we regain some trust in our system and kick those socioeconomic headaches to the curb. Our mission, Mr. Speaker, is crystal clear. Implement a screening process that's tight and better. We want a future where our islands aren't drowning in chaos, but swimming in prosperity. Just to set the record straight, as I said before, this isn't about shutting people out. It's about striking a balance. Let's protect the rights and opportunities of everyone while keeping the spirit of the Cayman Islands intact. In conclusion, as the native Caymanian population shrinks faster than a shirt in hot water, let's be the cool cats who set the standard. Establish those immigration policies, ensuring the welfare of our people and the Cayman Islands' prosperity. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and let's get this show on a road.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honourable Minister of Tourism and Ports.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I stand before you not just as the Minister of Tourism and Ports, but as a guardian of our Cayman Islands, a jewel in the heart of the Caribbean. Our paradise faces a threat, a menace that seeks to tarnish our pristine reputation and compromise the prosperity that we have built. I address you with an urgent call to action, a call to fortify our borders against the looming shadows of contraband that threaten our nation. Mr. Speaker, let us not overlook the gravity of this situation, for the accumulation of contraband poses a very dire risk to the very foundations of our thriving tourism sector. The Cayman Islands, a regional gem, must be safeguarded with an unyielding resolve. We cannot afford to turn a blind eye to the potential damage that illegal drug and weapon imports may inflict upon our economy, law enforcement, and the overall safety of our people. In the face of adversity, we as a nation must rise to the occasion. We must demand more than mere discussions and idle words. I propose, nay, I insist on the implementation of stricter, unyielding, and effective border control policies. Our goal is very clear: to protect the integrity of our beloved islands and maintain our prominence as a haven for tourists seeking both beauty and security. Recent incidents serve as stark reminders of the urgency of this matter. The Cayman Islands Coast Guard intercepted a commercial fishing vessel carrying cocaine, and a tragic shooting at the West Bay Ed Bush Stadium shook our community to its core. These events demand not just our attention, but our unwavering commitment to fortify our borders against such threats.
I recognize the elected member for Georgetown South.
Point of order, relevance. This is not speaking on the motion.
Honourable member, please get to the point of your speech.
As a proposed solution, we as a nation must fully utilize the convenience that is provided by the use of technology. We can potentially strengthen the security of our borders through means using advanced technological devices such as high-tech drones, mass radar systems, surveillance towers, and a systematic rotation focusing on security tags, in which the capacity and effectiveness of our borders would be heightened. Mr. Speaker, let us not wait for more incidents to define our response. The tourism industry, a pillar of our economy, must not suffer due to a lack of action on our part. Our reputation as a safe and welcoming destination must be preserved at all costs. We cannot allow our streets, known for their safety, to become tainted with the shadows of danger. Mr. Speaker, this motion is not just a bureaucratic formality. It is our shield against the encroaching storm. We must unite, not just as policymakers, but as guardians of our nation's dependability, security, and profitability. Our response to this motion will determine the fate of our beloved island, its image, and its economy. In closing, Mr. Speaker, let us not underestimate the power of our collective action. The Cayman Islands deserve nothing less than the strongest measures to safeguard our future. It is time to act decisively, to fortify our borders, and to declare to the world that we are a force to be reckoned with. Our paradise will remain unblemished, our tourism industry robust, and our people secure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honorable Attorney General.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of this August Assembly, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to address this motion with the gravitas it deserves. Today I stand before you not only as the Attorney General, but as a staunch defender of justice, equity, and the very fabric of our society. My role as the legal guardian of the Cayman Islands demands unwavering dedication to the principles enshrined in our Constitution. It is a responsibility that requires me to safeguard the rights and liberties of our residents, ensuring that every legislative move aligns seamlessly with the tenets of justice and fairness. The motion we scrutinize today proposes a revision to the procedure governing applications for permanent residency from individuals who have long been woven into the tapestry of the Cayman Islands. Now, let's dissect this proposal with the precision it merits. The current process mandates applicants to navigate a labyrinth point system, an intricate web that separates the worthy from the rest. It's a bureaucratic ballet where individuals must pirouette through paperwork and documentation to prove their merit for permanent residency. This in itself is a dance of precision and to some extent a cut and dry process. However, the proposed amendment threatens to turn this intricate dance into a Herculean feat. It appears to tighten the noose around the necks of those seeking permanency, making it an even more daunting task to accumulate the necessary points. This, Mr. Speaker, raises concerns about the fairness of the proposed changes and their potential impact on individuals striving to establish roots in our beloved Cayman Islands. Let us not forget the ramifications of Section 37(3) of the Immigration Act, a provision that, when wielded without discretion, compels individuals falling short of 110 points to bid adieu to our shores for at least a year. The harsh reality is that this provision, while seemingly straightforward, disrupts the fundamental rights to family and private life for those with ties to our community. D. Souza and Bure versus the Immigration Appeals Tribunal, and Ian Fernando Ellington versus the Chief Immigration Officer of the Cayman Islands are not merely legal jargon. They are real-life instances that spotlight the urgency of addressing this conundrum. These cases serve as testament to the fact that we are not dealing with an abstract dilemma, but a pressing, tangible issue that warrants our immediate attention. Our Constitution, the cornerstone of our democratic values, explicitly demands the government to respect every person's private and family life under Section 9. It is imperative, Mr. Speaker, that we uphold this constitutional imperative when considering applications for permanent residency. Failure to do so not only jeopardizes the integrity of our legal system, but also infringes upon the very rights we hold dear. In response to this challenge, I have presented the Cabinet with a solution, a measured approach that seeks to infuse fairness into our decision-making processes. This solution, in the form of a two-stage consideration, compels WORC to engage Section 9 of the Constitution before rendering decisions on residency applications. Let it be known that this proposed solution is not an encroachment upon the legal guidelines that govern our nation. It is, in fact, a constitutional imperative, a call to action to rectify an existing flaw in our system. The integration of Section 9 into the decision-making process is not a legal nuance. It is a safeguard against potential legal challenges that may arise should this vital consideration be neglected. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, let us be mindful of the delicate balance we must strike. While safeguarding the integrity of our immigration system, we must also ensure that the rights and freedoms of those securing permanency in our beloved Cayman Islands are preserved. It is my sincere hope that the government takes heed of the impassioned plea and acts judiciously in amending the Immigration Act to reflect the constitutional values. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honourable Minister of Youth, Sports and Heritage.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker. As the Minister for Youth, Sports and Heritage, it is incumbent on me to promote, protect and preserve the rich culture and heritage of our beloved Cayman Islands. Immigration security is essential for safeguarding our cultural identity and sense of community. As a small population, we have close ties within our community and we cherish our traditions and values. Our faith in God and traditional Christian values keep us grounded as chaos ensues globally. It is true that we have seen growth and prosperity. Many people consider the Cayman Islands the most affluent of the Caribbean nations. It is also true that we have welcomed people from all over the world to join our workforce. However, we have seen a sharp increase in our population, which is unsustainable. Now that our people are upskilled and our youth are leaving Cayman with international qualifications and global experience, we need to better regulate the granting of permanent residency and Caymania status to encourage them to stay and work here. For our first generation Caymanians and work permit holders, we must implement measures to embrace them into our community and encourage more integration and stronger connections with our multi-generational Caymanians. They must be encouraged to learn about our culture and heritage. Mr. Speaker, what does Cayman as a country stand for? What do we as a people stand for? What are the values that we Caymanians hold dear and wish to uphold? We come from humble beginnings. When I think of my Caymanian values instilled in me by my mummy, my grandfather and my 103-year-old great-grandfather, Grandfather Riley, who is truly Caymankind and who shares the teachings of heritage with me, which I intend to pass on to my children and grandchildren. Mr. Speaker, if the rapid rate of immigration continues into our islands without proper regulation, we will see a strain in our basic needs and we will lose our old ways and traditions. Let's embrace our heritage and not let it be watered down. Not today, Bobo. Our people, including expatriates, must respect our laws and our identity. Mr. Speaker, I refer you to page 104 of the 2022 Cayman Islands Compendium of Statistics, which identifies the number of work permits by industry granted in the private sector on an annual basis. The number of work permits granted in the restaurants, bars, hotels, and condo sector is consistently one of the highest. Let's encourage our young people to work in the hospitality and tourism industry, so our visitors can have first-hand, face-to-face interactions with our people and experience our dialect and hear our stories. Our bartenders should not only know how to make pina colada, they should know how to make fish tea. Our chefs should know how to cook rundown and when to pick guineas. Our people in the hospitality industry should know our traditions of eating mangoes in the sea, slaughtering a cow at Christmas, and camping on the beach at Easter. Our visitors want to hear about why we cull green iguanas and how we protect our green parrots. In Hawaii, hotel guests are offered lessons on dancing the hula.
I recognize the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Point of order, relevance, Mr. Speaker. It has seemed that this motion has been poorly drafted and that none of these speeches are to the motion that they have put forward. Otherwise, everything that they're saying seems irrelevant.
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Board Control.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the honourable member would kindly note that it reads private member's motion on the presentation of the motion. As we have discussed multiple times, these are implementations that our ministers have worked with the passer of this motion and plan to implement if this motion passes. As it, yes, it is her motion, but this is our government. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, please continue.
Thank you very much. I'll continue because I was interrupted. Now, perhaps we should offer lessons on quadrille dancing. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not saying that immigrants don't belong in Cayman, but when they are in our territory, they will need to respect, they will need to learn about our culture and heritage. And we appreciate them being here as they are a huge part of helping our economy to remain strong. Our heritage is enshrined in our coat of arms, which I am currently wearing today. And I quote, "He half founded it upon the seas." I just feel so much pride even saying that, Mr. Speaker. As we sit in this chamber today debating this motion, it occurs to me that he is not the only person who has found us. People from all over the world have found us. We are so popular, we can be more selective in who we choose to stay in our country. God bless these Cayman Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the elected member for Georgetown East.
Oh, Mr. Speaker, where do I begin with this government motion? It's like they've taken a page out of the How to Blame Expats for Everything handbook.
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Misleading the House as well as imputing improper motives. Nowhere in any of the speeches thus far did we say anything about blaming expatriates for anything. Therefore, I would like the honourable member to please retract her statement.
Elected member, please retract your statement and continue your speech.
Excuse me, sorry. That's what I get from your motion. Probably you guys should have put that in
Elected
there for
member,
us to understand better.
Elected member, please continue your speech.
Thank you. I half expected, let me repeat my sentence, sorry. It's like they've taken a page from the How to Blame Experts handbook.
Elected member, please retract your statement and continue your speech.
Retracted. I half expected a magician to pull a rabbit out of a hat with a sign that says, "Expats are the problem." But alas, it seems the government has settled for a poorly thought out immigration reform instead. Now, I don't want to burst anyone's bubble, but are we seriously going to pretend that our Caymanian workforce is turning down job offers because they're too good for them? It's not a case of dodging bullets. It's more like dodging responsibilities. Let's stop playing the blame game and start looking at the mirror, shall we? And don't even get me started on the conspiracy theory that that expats are snatching up Caymanian jobs. Maybe, just maybe, those jobs are being avoided for reasons we'd rather not admit. Lack of qualifications, a sprinkle of entitlement, dodging responsibilities. Let's stop playing the blame game and start looking in the mirror.
Elected member, please stop imputing improper motives and continue your speech.
Maybe, just maybe, those jobs are being avoided. Let's not blame others for our own shortcomings. Now I get it. The government is proposing this grand immigration screening process that ensures the economic, social, and political well-being of the Cayman Islands. But hold on. Are they subtly suggesting our current screening process is as effective as a chocolate teapot? Even if we implement their so-called comprehensive process, there's no guarantee it will magically transform our islands into a utopia. Let's not kid ourselves. Mr. Speaker, I know you want to laugh, especially after seeing this whole notion of a comprehensive immigration screening process. Please, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. Are we trying to make it seem like our current system is as effective as our traffic management? Newsflash, it's not, and this motion isn't going to fix it. I love the audacity of implying that expats are the root of our problems. Oh no.
Elected member, please stop imputing improper motives and continue your speech.
It couldn't possibly be the poor governance, questionable policies, or a lack of forward thinking. Let's just blame those darn expats for everything, because that's the Cayman kind way, right? Are expats really the root of all our problems? Is this a desperate attempt to divert attention from the real problems plaguing our beloved Cayman Islands? Perhaps it's time for the government to take a good, hard look in the mirror. Maybe one as broken as their ambitions. I even brought one for them. And let's talk about the Caymanian workforce. From helpers to chefs to civil servants, expatriates are the backbone of our society. What would our islands look like without their hard work and dedication? I shudder to think. Oh, and Mr. Speaker, why are we trying to turn back time with a stricter immigration policy? If the government wanted to play the tough card, they should have done so ages ago. Are they living in some alternate reality where implementing ridiculous changes now is a stroke of genius? I wonder. No. I ask? No. I challenge the government to answer why in our economic advantageous position we're trying to fix something that simply isn't broken. We're a tourist haven and a financial hub. Why jeopardize that? Let's not take cues from Bermuda and their stringent policies, which, surprise, surprise, didn't really solve their problems. But yes, I think I leave this with the government to ask them to please look into their motion and understand that we are the Caymanian people. Us and we all need to come together as one to know that this is our Cayman Islands and we need to work together to fix any problems that you are supposedly saying is here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honourable Minister of Health, Wellness and Home Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's call a spade and speak the truth. Many, if not all of us here today, are descendants of immigrants who came to our country looking for better opportunities and a brighter future for their family. Whether we came on boat with Columbus in 1503 or on Cayman Airways in 2003, this House of Parliament was a house fully made up by immigrants. While immigration has undoubtedly brought many benefits, we cannot ignore the need for security measures to protect our communities. For small communities, stability and order are crucial for the survival. After all, we are our brother's keepers. Implementing immigration security measures will help us not only identify potential threats, Mr. Speaker, it will also ensure that only those who will contribute positively to our society are allowed in. Did the opposition hear me? I said positively. Now, while this may not reverse the issue of overpopulation, this will inevitably
I
increase...
recognize the honorable of the opposition.
Point of elucidation.
Do you give way?
I accept.
How would you know if they're coming in, they will help the Cayman Islands? How would you?
Well, if you were listening to the speeches before, if we plan on eliminating all the bad people by looking at their biometrics, looking at their history, looking at all the negative factors, then there is a higher chance that we bring people who will positively benefit our islands.
I recognize the honorable of the opposition.
But Mr. Speaker...
Raise another point of elucidation.
Point of elucidation. Well, it's a...
Follow up? Follow up? Okay, continue.
If the... Oh, I lose my train of thought. Just...
I'm so sorry. Continue your speech.
This government wants quality over quantity. And I want to leave this house with my Caymanian people saying, well done. After all, I am the Minister of Wellness. Mr. Speaker, quite frankly, we have neglected our responsibility to provide security for our islands, which can change and damage our reputation. And as I said before, let's call a spade a spade. Therefore, as a matter of fact, we need to take the necessary steps to ensure the safety of our communities, while also welcoming those who will positively contribute to our society. Now, if not for Caymanians, then who? Mr. Speaker, it is high time we face the unassailable truth. While our enchanting islands remain steadfast in its allure, the thrumming pulse of population growth is echoing across our shores. Picture this. As our numbers surge, so does the pandemonium to our doorstep. The blind eye to this reality would be aching, inviting the peril we face. Neglecting the escalating challenge at hand opens the gateway.
I recognize the elected member for West Bay West.
Point of elucidation.
Do you give way?
I accept.
Do you have any examples of this pandemonium that's being caused by immigrants?
I didn't say the pandemonium would be caused by immigrants. If we have an overflow of people coming in our country, there will clearly be an effect to us. Cayman is so small and there's only so many resources we can give them. So if there's an influx of people, obviously there would be an issue.
Do you have any evidence of this influx of the problems of there being too many people?
Yes, I do. I actually have this paper from the labor force survey showing that immigrants or expats overpower Caymanians by far.
But that doesn't, sorry. That doesn't, oh, it needs to be.
I recognize the elected member for West Bay West.
But the labor force survey doesn't really highlight any of the problems that are being caused by too many people being on island.
Honourable member, please retract your statement and continue your speech.
Neglecting the escalating challenge at hand opens the gateway for nefarious elements to breach our sanctuary. Imagine the chaos, the mayhem, the death rate, and my grandmother's blood pressure going through the roof. Simply, I can't let that happen. After all, I am also the Minister of Health. Mr. Speaker, it is a scenario we cannot afford to entertain. There is no Ministry of Entertainment, unless that's what the opposition wants to call themselves now. Let us not dance on this idea of complacency.
Recognize the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Point of order, decorum.
Honourable Member, please continue your speech and maintain decorum.
Let's not dance on this idea of complacency. The stakes are too high and our responsibilities are too great. Ladies and gentlemen, let's cut to the chase, shall we? As Minister of Home Affairs, I have some news for you that will even make Cayman Road shocked. The influx of other nationalities has stirred the pot and spice levels are reaching Caymanian kitchens. According to the last Labour Force survey report, it is not just a gentle dash of diversity, it's a full-blown flavor takeover, with expatriates claiming 53.5% of the spotlight. Now, I'm all for a global survey, but when it comes on to the home team being down by 46.5%, it's time to rethink the recipe. The permanent residency pathway seems to have become a bit of a red carpet gala for everyone and anyone to walk in. So perhaps it's time to tighten up the ropes. Mr. Speaker, this is not a rejection of diversity. It is a celebration of our unique identity and a commitment to safeguarding the prosperity of our people. Let this youth parliament stand as a beacon of progress, advocating for Cayman Islands, where every resident contributes to the rich culture of our nation while preserving the essence of what makes us Caymanian. As I open my speech with this, I will now close with this. Mr. Speaker, let's call a spade and speak the truth. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honourable Deputy Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In theory and practice are the same. In practice, they are not. Wise words to remind us that what may sound good on paper and sound like it could have worked in real life may not have achieved all it set out to do. As a result, the members of this government are in support of this motion, which seeks to improve the current immigration screening process. Mr. Speaker, this is not as a barrier, but as a shield to protect and preserve the future of the Cayman Islands. Now, Mr. Speaker, let's not get it twisted, and let us dispel this notion that the aim of this motion is to discourage immigration altogether. Mr. Speaker, we cannot shoot ourselves in the foot by scaring away our labor force. And as the Deputy Governor, the civil servants are my constitutional responsibility. And Mr. Speaker, they come in all shapes, all sizes, and all nationalities. It is my job to ensure that they're protected. Now, the majority of the civil service is made up of Caymanians, but we must not fail to acknowledge the significant contributions of our non-Caymanian counterparts, especially when considering areas such as national security and education. Now, overly stringent measures risk losing some of our finest workers, and I know the government agrees that this is a gamble we could not afford. With this being said, the reformed immigration system that the government is proposing must be delicately enforced, ensuring it does not compromise our national security, education system, or the well-being of our civil servants. Now, not to be preemptive, Mr. Speaker, but should this motion be passed, we must be proactive in allocating resources, as funds and manpower are crucial for this new development. Mr. Speaker, background checks are currently done, but there is room for improvement regarding national security. We know convictions are disqualifiers when it comes to immigration, but Mr. Speaker, if we are concerned about who enters Cayman, we must protect the islands against things such as identity theft. I believe the Premier's mention of biometrics is an excellent step forward. Let us work to up our game on identity security by identifying and authenticating individuals in a fast and reliable way. Now, chief officers and I have been exploring the possibility of implementing biometrics, and we are willing to support the government. The first step is making sure we have the necessary skills to be able to implement these policies. Countries such as Australia down under and Canada up yonder, and even the UK work together on biometric data sharing. In the Cayman Islands, we have a world-class civil service, so we too can and need to be involved in collaborative undertakings to ensure our country is safe. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is not just a suggestion, it is a necessity. Our world-class civil service is ready to adapt, but this demands data management experts and specialized training, a commitment the government is willing to make. Now, Mr. Speaker, let us briefly address border control. This is a crucial facet of our national security. Embracing technology in the form of unmanned aerial vehicles, which are essentially drones, is a big step. They will be able to cruise skies, analyze footage, especially over our seas, which we know are big issues, Mr. Speaker, and it will be able to flag anything fishy. Now, Mr. Speaker, I have been in dialogue with the Minister of Border Control regarding this possible development. Drones flying remotely will offer real-time surveillance, augmenting the exceptional work by our criminal task force. Now, in closing, Mr. Speaker, I am wholeheartedly prepared to work with the members of government in whatever beneficial decision they make. The civil service is prepared to increase efficiency, prepared to mobilize, and prepared to adapt should this motion be passed. Mr. Speaker, I pledge the unwavering support of the civil service to turn this theory into effective practice. Now let us work together to secure our borders, strengthen our immigration system, and ensure a fortified and prosperous future for the Cayman Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the elected member for West Bay West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on private member's motion number 1 of 2024. Mr. Speaker, before I begin, I'd like to reference the writer Franz Kafka. Up until recently, I've never heard of him, but when I was researching the history of this motion's policy, I came across one of his parables before the law in an extract, and I believe Cayman can gain insight from this and learn from its strong example. In his writing, a doorkeeper stood before the law, and to this doorkeeper comes a man who asks for admittance to the law. But the doorkeeper never grants the man admittance, even after the man has waited years asking the law for permission. And we'll learn at the end that the door was kept the man out of the country was intended only for him. I believe this work highlights how the law can prevent someone, in this case immigrants, from being admitted to or join a society. And although the government claims that this reform will decrease the impact of socioeconomic factors we have on island, Mr. Speaker, that is simply not the kind of world we live in. Government claims that they don't want to restrict numbers of immigrants coming on island, but that is the obvious effect of their proposals. It seems that government has not read their motion properly, as their speeches today do not reflect the whereas clauses within it. And if we want to preserve Cayman's prosperity and social cohesion, we cannot let this motion pass. Hence why I'm going to argue how today that passing this law, immigration and border reform, can stratify our society on island. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, the very concept of immigration reform is far too outdated and overall always unsuccessful. Countries such as the UK and the US have been trying for more than 100 years to implement immigration policy, and from a long-term perspective, we can see that they have always failed. With hindsight, we ourselves can judge by the lack of success and in the global history of immigration control that it is effectively not possible politically and socially. In the past, politically, immigration reform has been used to diminish the worth of migrants and to alienate them from their local society. For example, in 1905, the UK passed the Aliens Act, and that is its real title, the Aliens Act, where immigrants who were declared undesirable were prevented from immigrating to the UK. Mr. Speaker, this is not the type of message we want to put forward as an island. It has been used as a tool to separate locals from foreigners and used as an us versus them argument. And although this motion is moved in a slightly different context,
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Border Control.
Point of order, relevance. I do not see the failings of other nations and other governments as a reason not to try the solutions that our government has proposed. Just because people fail a race doesn't mean I should stop running.
Honourable Member, please continue your speech.
it can still cause, it can still cause greater social distress than intended. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure that's not what the government has intended by bringing this motion, but that is a distinct possibility. We already experience social stratification on our island. If we pass immigration reform, it can further divide the population from locals and expats and not allow for any cultural integration. If we want Cayman to continue progressing and accept modernization, we...
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Point of elucidation, Mr. Speaker.
Do you give way?
Yes.
How will the institution of these immigration screening process create more stratification in our society? I still haven't heard concrete evidence as to how it will.
Well, elected member, if you just wait for me to describe the social impacts of immigration reform, I will describe those. But also, this is not directly related to the screening process, but rather the actual outcome of this immigration reform, where the amount of immigrants coming onto the island are decreased.
Mr. Speaker, the be it therefore resolved section of the motion, it states that we are pushing to institute an immigration screening process and amend the permanent residency application process. Therefore, I do not see the relevance of speaking about the overall effect on immigration, as yes, we do plan to make these amendments to the immigration screening process, but it might not have those negative effects that you are speaking of.
Honourable Member, elected member, please continue your speech.
I think that with these possibilities, it is almost more than certain that the negative social impacts will apply to our island, as it has for many years to all different countries. I think it's quite ignorant of the government to fail to address any of the history of this policy, as it does relate to our island. And if we wish to put forward a new immigration policy, we have to also accept the social and historical implications of this policy. Therefore, we need to accept immigrants into our borders if we were to progress and keep progressing and maintain our prosperity as an island. And in the past century, we have embraced new cultures and accepted modern ideals. In short, we have become unified beyond borders, as does other countries. We are a member of CARICOM and a member of the Commonwealth. We should embrace the unique position we have in the world and not isolate ourselves from any global efforts. Mr. Speaker, immigration and border reform could directly interfere with Cayman's foreign affairs and the relationship we have with other countries. We cannot ignore our global responsibilities. Since the government's proposed immigration reform is avoiding the political interest of other groups, immigrants, passing this immigrant-directed motion could be seen as an act of isolationism, considering the small size of our island. And
Point of elucidation.
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Health.
Point of elucidation.
Do you give way?
Yes.
My question to you is that, do you believe that since you're saying that this whole motion is not necessary, then do you believe that without it, seeing the current results of there has been none, do you think that it's been great? Because if there's no border protection, if there's no immigration things, shootings like what happened a couple weeks ago could happen again. And are you saying that's okay? Are you okay with living with Caymanians who know they're not safe? Are you okay with the people that elected you feeling they're not comfortable in their own home?
The opposition does not in any way agree with any of the gun violence going on our islands. I'm personally not okay with it. However, that is not the fault of our current border policies. That I believe that to be the fault of perhaps gun control, but I don't think that really is relevant to my speech today.
And how do you suppose the guns get in here? Because we don't have a foundation here.
Please be seated. Please continue your speech.
It is in Cayman's best interest that we do not develop into a protectionist society, especially since the government claims that economic protectionism would work for our island. That is simply not the case here. We depend far too much on foreign investment and trade, both as a society and an economy.
Elected member, your time is up.
Can I ask for one more minute, please?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We should instead use our time in Parliament to focus on the island's utmost priorities. Overall, immigration border reform could bring civil unrest to our islands, which we are too small politically and socially handle. We have seen the impact that this reform has brought to other countries that are much more powerful than us and still have struggled significantly. It is controversial for even the government to consider to speak on this topic, given its complicated and unsuccessful history internationally. We can gain insight from the history of others, and we must consider the political and social implications of this motion. Mr. Speaker, if we wish to keep our islands as a paradise, we must not let this motion pass. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honorable Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it makes total sense that the opposition would use a lack of success as an argument in your speech, because who better knows that than them? This government, on the other hand, Mr. Speaker, we know about success, and I'm sure the opposition should know that themselves. As the Minister of Financial Services, Commerce, Investments, Innovation, and Social Development, it is with great conviction that I endorse this motion. Mr. Speaker, allow me to articulate the essence of our collective vision. Our commitment is not a declaration of isolation, but a testament of our resolve in sculpting a society that thrives on diversity, innovation, and prosperity. We acknowledge the enriching tapestry woven by varied perspectives and talents, but understand the necessity of ensuring that those who enter our shores are equipped to be architects of positive change within our community. Mr. Speaker, in my role as the custodian of social development, the weight of responsibility is profound. The influx of individuals with antisocial inclinations can strain our resources, hampering our noble mission to foster self-sufficiency and minimize dependence on governmental aid. Our aim is to empower our people, nurturing their innate abilities to reduce our reliance on external labor forces. Mr. Speaker, the paradigm shift we advocate for today is not merely about erecting barriers. It is a clarion call for prioritizing our greatest asset, our people. Mr. Speaker, for too long, the lure of economic growth has eclipsed investments in human capital and social development. This government is resolute in rectifying this imbalance, cultivating the talents of Caymanians to forge a self-sustaining and innovative society. As we reflect on the crucible of COVID-19 pandemic, the imperativeness of economic stability becomes undeniably apparent. To catalyze growth and attract foreign investments, we must fortify our foundations through initiatives like the comprehensive screening process outlined in this motion. Such a system ensures that those who seek entry possess the skills and qualifications requisite for propelling our workforce to new heights of productivity and ingenuity. Mr. Speaker, implementing a screening system is not merely a bureaucratic necessity. It is a testament to our commitment to upholding the highest standards of integrity and security. By doing so, Mr. Speaker, we fortify our reputation as a sanctuary for tourists, investors, and businesses alike. In fostering a secure environment, we lay the bedrock for economic prosperity and innovation. Mr. Speaker, a secure environment is a crucible in which economic prosperity is forged. Investors demand stability, and we, as a government, stand shoulder to shoulder with law enforcement agencies in combating crime and maintaining order. However, Mr. Speaker, our vigilance must extend to immigration policies, acting as a bulwark against the infiltration of criminal elements that may jeopardize our societal fabric. Let me be unequivocal, Mr. Speaker. This government, under my stewardship, prioritizes the interests of our people above all else. Our unwavering commitment to securing the best for citizens, as mandated by their electoral choice, demands no apology. We are architects of a vision where only those who align with our values and aspirations find a home in our cherished Cayman Islands. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the implementation of a screening system is not just a matter of security. It is a strategic investment in our economic prosperity and innovative future. By attracting the right talent, mitigating risk, enhancing efficiency, and upholding our reputation, we embark on a journey of unlocking new opportunities for growth and prosperity for generations to come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to champion a cause that transcends bureaucratic formalities, a cause that defines the very essence of our shared journey towards a prosperous and innovative Cayman Islands. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? If no other member wishes to speak, I will call on the mover of the motion to exercise her right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, like I and the members of government have stated repeatedly, this motion is about altering and strengthening the regulations for an expatriate to gain permanent residency, and therefore become a Caymanian. This proposal is not meant to deter nor discriminate against expats. We must come to terms and understand the issues that Caymanians are facing today because of the current protocols. Is it moral to allow a Caymanian family to suffer from unaffordable land? Is it right to jeopardize that family in order to accommodate a wealthy person who has never set foot in the country? Is the opposition saying that we should be willing to split and diminish Caymanian benefits in order to accommodate every expat? I thought we wanted to increase the standard of living. Is that not correct, Ms. Elected Member for Georgetown East? The passage of this motion does just that, allowing for Caymanians to continue enjoying the benefits of being a Caymanian. For the elected member for Georgetown East, saying that we are trying to fix something that isn't broken, should we just wait for a child to bust his head open while riding a bicycle instead of giving him a helmet? Why wait until our Caymanian benefits are split? Why take that risk when the passage of this motion would help prevent it? This is a preventative measure. Mr. Speaker, isn't it our job to protect the Caymanians? Has the opposition forgotten the House of Parliament's purpose? As my Honorable Premier stated, if the opposition can't see the benefit of this motion, they must need some prescription glasses to see better. The opposition's shocking response to our motion shows two things. One, they have not listened to the proposals our government has brought forward. And two, they are in desperate need of spending time with our Minister of Heritage. Many solutions have been considered and stated by me and my fellow members of government. The alteration of factor criteria and points awarded, the introduction of various technologically forward biometric methods, and cultural assimilation programs would allow us to take a step forward to preventing this issue. Mr. Speaker, I am Caymanian. You are Caymanian. We are Caymanians. It is not just a title. Mr. Speaker, I would like us all to think. What does it mean to be a Caymanian? Does it mean investing a bunch of money into the country? Because that is what our current regulations has made it out to be. And if this motion is being opposed, perhaps the opposition believes that money is more important than mindset. The passage of this motion looks out for our population. That is our job. The people's future is in our hands. It is not just the duty of the government, not just that of the opposition, but everyone in this House of Parliament today. Additionally, I would like to point out something else that the opposition members have implied. They are implying that the government is playing the blame game. Where in our motion or speeches have we said such things? We are here to protect the Caymanians and to stand by our name, to stand by our title, to stand by our country. We are here to assist, support, and protect our people. We must work together to go through with this motion. Mr. Speaker, the opposition seems frankly confused. Nowhere in the motion did the government state that they were playing the blame game with expats, which is what I just stated earlier. We simply want to tighten and strengthen our borders. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I will leave you with this line. We are not against the expatriates. We are for the Caymanians. Thank you.
The question is, be it therefore resolved that this Honourable Youth Parliament considers revising the permanent residency application process and amending the relevant immigration acts and regulations to give effect to this revision. Be it therefore further resolved that this Honourable Youth Parliament considers the implementation and maintenance of a comprehensive immigration screening process that encourages greater security and safety of the economic, social, and political well-being of the Cayman Islands. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, no. No. The ayes have it. Private Members' Motion number 1 of 2024, Immigration and Border Control, is duly passed. The House will suspend its proceedings for lunch. I ask all members to return promptly to the chamber at 2:56 p.m. Correction. 1:56 p.m.